What's up guys, Brian here at Cascade Van. Today we're going to install some Paragon Offroad side steps on a 144 Sprinter. We love these steps, they're bomber, super solid, easy install, very straightforward. Should take you about an hour and a half, maybe two on your first time to get them done. Follow along, we'll get it knocked out. Okay guys, so getting set up, we want to get all of our pieces and components out here. So down low we got the driver's side here, passenger side on the longer one. We'll install the passenger side first because it's a little bit trickier. Gives us a good rough in on what's going on the other side. And then we get all of our hardware organized as well. We got our riv nuts, bolts, washers, lock nuts. These are the spacers that we'll use later for the pinch weld down low on our final set of bolts. And then these are the bolts that land into our riv nuts. Tools for the job, Sharpie to mark out where all of our holes are gonna get drilled, socket wrench with a 1/2 inch, 7/16. We've got these guys on adapters so that we can put those onto our impact later as well. And then a 5/32 for the head of the long bolts, 7/16 to keep that onto the nut for different applications, and a hole punch for hitting our spots where we're gonna drill everything out. Power tool wise, we've got our universal saw with the scraper blade to remove the protective rubber coating on the under chassis. We'll paint over that afterwards where we expose raw metal, of course, and then impact driver, drill with a 1/2 inch drill bit. 1/2 inch is the common size you'll find. We will worry out our holes a little bit to make our rivet nuts work well. We have a pneumatic rivet nut tool here. You can use the handheld one. Love the pneumatic one. It's a lot faster for the job. Spray paint as well so that we can clean up any of the exposed metal that we run into along the way. Like to use a spacer block, cheap, quick fashion one here. Just hanging out on the workbench, but this just prevents the drill from blowing through, hitting the outside of the body when we're drilling our rivet nuts through. Good piece to have if you don't have good throttle control with that when you're drilling into the body from the underside. For the fans of OSHA out there, eye and ear protection, of course, as well. Okay, so step one, find yourself a second set of hands. Now that you have your second set of hands, we're gonna dry fit the step. We're gonna start passenger side first here, and we're looking for the cross on this guy, where the step, to land right in between the front door and the slider door in the back. So we're gonna lay down, muscle this guy in place, and then we'll join you under chassis to mark things out and show you the next steps. All right, so underneath here, we got about 1.5 inches, almost 2 on the spacing here. And then we got the cross on the step lined up where the slider, right before the slider door. We're happy underneath, looking out for plugs and undulations in the underside of the chassis, and now we're gonna mark everything out. Okay, so now we're gonna mark out underneath here on the sides of all of our steps where all of our protective rubber coating from factory could hold us out when we're setting our bolts and our rivet nuts. Once we're all marked, we're gonna bring the step down, scrape out underneath it here where we marked, and then we'll come back in and mark our holes for drilling. If you don't have a universal saw with the scraper blade, you can also use a hammer and chisel to get the job done. This is just much quicker. Next, we're gonna drill our holes, or mark our holes so we can drill them. Okay guys, so now we're gonna use our center punch to mark all of our holes for drilling. A double tap is nice to make sure you get a good indent for your bit to guide on. And we're doing this so that our drill bit does not walk while we're drilling it. Okay, so now we're center punch, we're gonna drill everything out. When we drill these, this is where we have that block stop so we don't over drill and hit the outside of the body. Again, you can fashion this just out of a chunk of wood, whatever you would need, piece of 2x4, whatever keeps that drill bit on the outside from hitting the outside of this lower body part. We're gonna wanna worry the holes out a little bit to give the rivet nuts a little extra room to slide into that 1/2 inch drill bit hole. Test the hole, make sure she fits nice and smooth. Okay, so again, we're just going over this real quick with some paint to prevent rust. Make sure we get those openings good and closed up, no exposed metal, no issues down the road before we do our riv nuts. Okay guys, so now we're using our pneumatic rivet nut tool to set the rivet nuts into the body. We painted, everything's dried, looking good there. Thread this guy down to the bottom. Make sure you seat them flat so that they line up the bolts correctly. If you don't seat them flat into the body here, then your bolt, when you put it in, will be really cockeyed. It makes the step really difficult to get on. So set that in nice and flat and flush. One for good luck. and we back her out. Repeat 16 times. So we're just wallowing out these holes a little bit to make the bolts line up easier. It's very difficult to get your rib nuts to line up perfectly inside on the underside of the chassis there. So instead of fighting them a million ways a Sunday, you just wallow these holes out a little bit with a step up on a drill bit size, and then makes the process smooth. Okay, so next step, we're gonna grab all of our hardware, our bolts and our washers, and we're gonna line this baddie up, get the step in place. We're gonna hand start all of these to make sure they're all seating properly, and then we're gonna tighten everything down. So now that we have all of our holes wallowed out, we're gonna set our bolts finger tight first on all of them. So we have adjustability and a little bit of play side to side, up and down, and then we'll tighten everything down afterwards. Okay, so to drill out our lower bolts here that go through the pinch weld, we're gonna finish with a 9/32 drill bit. We're gonna pilot with 2 sizes down to make the hole a little bit easier to drill. We're also going to line up so that we don't hit too high on the pinch weld, because on the back side of this, we're going to make sure that the nut has room to land flat against the pinch weld there, as well as the washer. So try to aim for dead center on the pinch weld when you're punching through on this one. Okay, so now that we're drilled out from in between the pinch weld and our brace, what we're going to do is loosen the big bolts up top to give us room to fit this sleeve in between. The sleeve will go in between this bracket and the pinch weld inside of here, and then our bolts will sleeve in from the outside so that our nuts and washers are on the inside of the vehicle. Nice clean reveal when we're finished. Okay, so bolt with the head facing out, sleeve that through. We're going to guide the bolt right onto the cylinder once we get it started through the pinch weld. Locate that hole, sleeve that up inside in between the bracket, and this guy will punch right through. Then we get our washer set up on these. We go flat washer, lock washer, and the nut. All right, now that you got the quarter 20s through the pinch weld, we're gonna tighten everything back down, followed by the quarter 20s afterwards. All right, now passenger side is done. We're gonna switch over to the driver's side, get this one knocked out. Okay, so on this side, we're gonna install it just like we did on the driver's side. We're gonna mark everything out, shave down the undercoating lining here, and then we're gonna tap our holes, put our rib nuts in, tap our other holes, and then bolt this sucker in, knock her out. All right, folks, that is the install for the Paragon Offroad 144 Sidesteps. Second set of hands, a little patience, take your time lining everything up, and you'll knock it out in no time. Thanks for checking it out.